Well, hello everyone. Welcome in. Welcome in to JW World News Sunday edition. My name's Rick Ferrin, and I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world. That's right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And we're glad you're in with us today. We have an abbreviated edition. We'll only be able to go about 15 minutes today, but we can cover some information that I think is really critical news about the Watchtower and even just entertaining news about them. But let's get right into it. Let's talk about what's going on this weekend in Kentucky. Well, we know it was the Kentucky Derby. And guess who's there showing up with their carts? Well, of course, it's Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses are at, just about every corner. In fact, reports coming in here to the 6 screens, they're saying that Jehovah's Witnesses, there's one on every corner near the arena where they're going to have the Derby. So, anyways, they're trying to get people's attention on their way into the racetrack. Now, stop and think about it for just a second here. I mean, think about it. You'd probably get more interest, more people stopping and talking to you if you were advertising free frontal lobotomies than trying to place Watchtower literature to people going into the racetrack. These people are going in to gamble. They're going in to drink. They're going in to socialize. I mean, they're not going to be stopping and getting into some discussion with a crazy cult person in the way in. No way. So this is what they're doing lately in the Watchtower. They're wheeling these carts. They're putting these carts in front of people, anywhere they can put them in front of people. They did it at the Super Bowl. They're doing it at the Kentucky Derby. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised at the end of this month, they're going to do it at the Indianapolis Speedway in Indiana. So I think that's what's happening. So they're taking advantage of every possible way to recruit people into the cult. Yeah. So, anyways, another thing I saw this week coming across the internet concerning Jehovah's Witnesses, if I don't know if you noticed it, but it certainly is happening. They're removing a lot of the digital publications off of their website. Oh, well, what publications are they getting rid of? Which ones are they removing? Well, you guessed it. It's some of those publications that's lambasting them. It's some of those publications where all of their false prophecies and screwy narratives really are getting people thinking, well, we can't have that on jw.org, so they're taking it off. So they're doing that not only digitally, but I mean, the last 15, 20 years, they've been getting rid of Watchtower hard publications as well. So they don't want this old literature around. They don't want you to see it because you see it and they're indicted. So, another thing I found too is Tony Morris. Of course, he's no longer, as we all know, one of the governing body members, but they took all of his morning video. Well, they have the Bethelites every morning. They come down to the breakfast table, and before they actually have what they call a morning worship. Well, it's a morning worship talk, you could say, given by generally a governing body member. So Tony Morris, all of his morning worship videos have been taken down. Poor Tony. My goodness, they really, not only did they watch him walk out the back door, but they removed all of his morning worship videos. It's one another fact, and what they're doing too is they're also editing. They're editing some of the convention videos. Oh, well, why do you think they're editing those convention videos? Well, we know right now they're in trouble with Norway, Sweden, Belgium, Japan. That's just to name a few countries. There's others, but they're in trouble with these countries. And the reason why they're in trouble is because of shunning, for one thing. So, what the Jehovah's Witnesses do, they're going right now into some of the convention videos of the past and they're editing, taking out some of the cruel remarks they've made about shunning because they know that, some of these government officials are going to be looking up on their website. What do the Jehovah's Witnesses do? Because they're telling the countries like Norway, for example, no, you're making it worse than it is. We don't treat people that bad. Oh, come on, Watchtower. You treat people worse than even the governments realize. So they're working hard. The Watchtower organization's working really hard to hide any evidence They're destroying all of these older publications and, of course, taking down digital publications as well. Well, what that does to me, and it should do to you, it reveals their deceitful nature. They're hiding. They are hiding things. Yeah. In fact, when you stop and think about it, maybe if you were as criminal as the Watchtower organization, you'd be hiding things too. Because I'm thinking, look at all of the people that have died, perhaps in the millions that have died adhering to Watchtower policy. And if not millions, maybe that's a little exaggerated. I'd say hundreds of thousands. I mean, look at the people that have been displaced, couldn't get a career, didn't go to college, were going to get married, but wasn't the right person. He wasn't in the truth. All of the people that have been displaced, they had their lives turned around because of the Watchtower, not taking a blood transfusion and dying, not having an organ transplant, dying. Thousands of people have really died following the doctrines, the false doctrines of the Watchtower. Yeah. So, anyways, they're removing publications like they do with a governing body member. They do it very quietly. They really don't want you to see it. So, all of these old publications, I'm just going to say they're vanishing like smoke, just like Tony Morris when he was talking about when he lit that match, the infamous Tony Morris video where he lit that match and he had a little smoke came up. He said, "Yep, those are the apostates. Those are the apostates at Armageddon." Well, we got dwindling numbers coming into the 6 screens here from the assemblies. And I'm going to put up a picture. I put it up last night, but I'm going to put it up again so you can see it. This is I get this from somebody. I forget who it was now, but he sent me a picture of his assembly that he went to. Now take a look at this. Here it is. Now take a look around. That's an assembly that happened just in the last couple of weeks. So there's the assembly. There's no seats there. I mean, there's seats, but I mean, nobody's sitting in that full section. And I have another picture right here. If you're on YouTube and Facebook, you can see it. There's another picture. Look at the empty seats and look at down there on the floor. That's where the older people would normally sit. And those seats would normally be filled. But look at all the empty seats there as well. So I found that fascinating that assemblies are tanking and also meetings. Now, the foreign language meetings, the kingdom halls that have the foreign language meetings, they are bombing. Never mind tanking. They are being bombed. Very few witnesses even showing up. There's no interest. As a matter of fact, can you believe how big one foreign language circuit was? It went all the way from New York all the way down to Washington, D.C. I mean, that's 500, well, 400 miles. That's 400 miles to Washington, D.C. So that's how big that circuit was. But that circuit is just about, I got information, in fact, this week from a fella that was involved in the foreign language kingdom halls in that area. And he says it's just unbelievable. Now, nobody's even coming to the meetings anymore. So it's starting with foreign language. We talked about that, but it's happening too with regular English-speaking language all around the world. So it's good to see dwindling numbers. It makes my heart glad. I know it makes your heart glad as well. Something I found that I discussed last night that really is appalling. The Jehovah's Witnesses, they look for money everywhere they possibly can. They look in every nook and cranny to grab a few bucks. And now we learn that the Bethelites have been told by the organization to apply for assistance from the COVID relief money. And yeah, can you imagine that? So, some of these Bethelites have been bragging on Zoom. They've been bragging on Zoom that they're going to get a lot of money. They're going to be able to go on vacation when they get their Bethel vacation, and they're being encouraged to get this money. Shouldn't the Watchtower be taking care of them because, the Watchtower, they know if the Bethelites get a good sum of money, they're going to get part of it. I think we have Chewy on. Go ahead, Chewy.
Yeah, there's something that happened actually last night after I hung up from y'all. I went home. I saw it in the afternoon. I saw it before the program. That my wife had 3 awakes sitting on her bedstand, and I said, "Well, maybe I had looked at the website about 2 months ago, and I did not see any awake magazines for this year." And I said, "Huh." And I said, "Well, the letter that was read in September said they were supposed to get out 3 of them this year, and the same thing for last year." So I looked at the previous year, and I didn't see any awakes all that year either. And so I looked at it, I said, "Huh." So I opened up the awake. She was in the other room. It didn't have a date on the front of it, but I looked in it, and it was from 2020. Okay, so I go do my stuff. I come back, and later on in the evening, she says, "What a good article. What a good awake." Oh, that was just encouraging to read. What good articles. And I said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Is that a new one? What year did that come out in?" Silence. Nothing. And then later on, she said the same thing. She said, she was looking at it again. She says, what a good magazine." I said, "What year did it come out in? Is it a new one?" Nothing. And I went, wow. So this is the point to where they're at. They actually have to pump up the organization because it's not satisfying. They're not doing what they're supposed to. There was no announcement about the awake being discontinued. There was none. There was nothing in writing. I listened to this stuff. They didn't say anything about discontinuing the Awake magazine, but it's not up there for the last 2 years. No announcement, no nothing. How treating the flock like that, It's incredible. It's incredible the bullcrap they do and how they treat people on a psychological level.
Oh, yeah, your poor wife. I mean, she doesn't have an answer for you either, She's sitting there dumbfounded. She doesn't know what to tell you.
Right, exactly. She's spinning around in her head.
No, it's not. You're right. It's not fair to them. Yeah, well, thank you, Chewy. Always good to hear from Chewy. Thank you. Well, anyways, boy, I'll tell you what, if you're living in Pennsylvania and you're a Jehovah's Witness, you better be looking for the exit door really quick because let me tell you, people in Pennsylvania are finding out how evil the Watchtower is. Take a look at this picture. If you're on YouTube, you can see it. Look at that. That is the front page of a Pennsylvania newspaper last Sunday. A week ago, look at that. That man on that front page, as you can see, well, his name is Mark Hawk. Now, Mark Hawk, geez, that's a big picture. It's a quarter of a page picture of him. And he's a former Jehovah's Witness. He's a former elder, but he was a whistleblower. And he went and he told the authorities about the child sex abuse that's being covered up in the Watchtower. And boy, they wanted to know more. The Attorney General began to investigate. And man, they are in trouble in Pennsylvania. And can you imagine this man, Mark, that you're seeing there on the cover of that newspaper, front cover. Now, can you imagine in the community that he lives in the witnesses see that paper? They go into the store or maybe they subscribe to the paper and they see him on there. Don't you think that's going to make them want to open up and read the article? Oh, what does the apostate Mark have to say about us? Hey, this is what's going on. I am so happy. Pennsylvania is really doing a job right now on the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's all over the news. Every single congregation, over 500 congregations in Pennsylvania, is being investigated. Oh, come on, witnesses. You guys are not going to get out of this one. They are trapped. Well, I wanted to show you that. You can probably tell in my voice, I'm excited. I'm really excited because you know something? We are seeing a religion, a cult. I'm not going to call it a major religion because it's not, but we are seeing a religion, a dangerous religion, collapse right in front of us. You can't miss it. And even the witnesses are seeing it, like Chewy just called, and his wife's a witness. She can't explain to him about why there's no Awake magazines. And they're hiding a lot of this stuff. They're cutting back on everything they possibly can. They know their days are numbered. It's just like any business. If you're a business and you know you're going out, you're going to try to grab as much money as you can on the way out. You're going to get rid of as much inventory as you can. That's exactly what the witnesses have been doing. Well, I wish we had more time, but well, I do have, there's one, I will mention this. We do get information from a man named, and he goes by the name Atlantis, but he's a Watchtower insider. And the May announcements, these are the announcements they read to the Kingdom Hall congregation. You know, an elder gets up and reads you the announcements for the month. I'll just kind of let you know, I read all those announcements for May, and it's fear-mongering at its best. There was a 3-page announcements. 2 pages had to deal specifically with getting ready for the big disaster. I think they're trying to put at least in the witness mind that this must be Armageddon. They're telling you to get all your ducks in a row, make sure that you have all of your information that you need if you have to leave in a hurry because of a disaster. They're saying that even make sure your contact information is given to someone that knows you. Hey, you know what really got me thinking too is crazy, because they were encouraging the witnesses that, you know, make sure now you give someone information, your telephone number, where you lived, how you're doing, if we can't locate you. So they even had said it, you know, give this information even to a non-witness person that you may be friends with. That was kind of a shocker when they said that. I mean, do they really mean it? I don't know what's going on that Watchtower, but anyways, they're really trying to prepare people for this coming disaster. And it was just over the top on what to do, how to do it, how much food to have on hand, how much cash to have on hand. Crazy stuff from the Watchtower. They're really scaring the living daylights out of people. They got witnesses really totally paranoid right now. So, yeah, these are things that are going on in the Watchtower. Let me just take a quick look here, see if there's anything else. Well, I was just wondering about the mental state of the Jehovah's Witnesses today. Well, the mental state isn't good. We're getting reports coming into the 6 screens. I like one man sent me a term. He said that the witnesses look zombified. Zombified. I mean, I guess that's how a zombie would be. They've been zombified. They look like the Walking Dead. Today's Jehovah's Witnesses are burnt out shells of human beings with absolutely zero critical thinking skills. Now, I'm not beating these guys up, but you know something? What's really strange to me is how can you really be an educated person and stay in an organization like the Watchtower? And as I've always said here on the 6 screens, they have like a grade level 5 mentality. That'd be like, a grade level 5 mentality. That'd be the 5th grade. Do you remember how old you were when you were in the 5th grade? You were about 11 years old. You know, 11 years old is a very awkward age. And the reason why it's awkward is because, you know, when you're 11, you know, you don't know a lot of things. You don't know if the Easter Bunny's real or the Truth Fairy's real, whether it's Santa Claus or not. So it's an awkward age. And that's what I'm saying. Watchtower, Jehovah's Witnesses sitting in Kingdom Halls today, they are at grade level 5. They don't know. Their mind is not thinking straight. Well, I'm glad you could join us today. We're going to have to wrap it up here. I wish I could take more time to do it, but I wanted to give you that abbreviated edition. So, you know, we're going to be going now to the Christian Court. Oh, my goodness, one of my favorite programs here on the 6 screens. So why don't you guys join me? We got a lot on the docket today. So we'll be coming right back on here in just a couple of minutes with the Christian Court program. Don't go anywhere. Thank you, though, for coming into JW World News.